"This time is so precious," said Megan as she threw herself down in the bed. She said it with a kind of sadness. It was happy and sad, the knowledge that someday you will miss where you are, the concern that you are not soaking it all up as much as you will wish you had. "All our friends are near," she said. "Things are happening." There is only a moment when your friends have not yet left Dublin, when you are connected to the world by more than just the rubber sole of your shoe on pavement, but by the intimate whispers and laughter, yours, theirs, which fills the bars, the golden windows in the dark street, even the songs on the radio. You cannot walk down a street without bumping into someone you know. I think of Fran Lebowitz in Public Speaking, which I watched during the sick and idle majority of this week.
I should share them.
There was that
with
moment
the world.
when she said something like,
"When I first came to New York, I fell in with a group of incredible talkers. Incredible talkers. And I thought my whole life would be like that. There's certain things that happen to you when you're young. They're a thing you always imagine would happen, and then you find out it was like a fluke. Of course it disappeared.
You get something you've always thought was going to happen, and you think it's going to happen from now on, but it was just that moment. I thought about Martin Scorsese making a whole film about his friend and then doing it again a decade later. I should be making films about my friends. I wonder who would agree to be in one. This week I lived in the in-between. I read Gloria Anzaldúa's Light in the Dark. So much of it is about the liminal, the spaces between, the borderlands. It is narratively easy to show a week of rest or to show a week of activity, to paint a portrait of sickness, to paint a portrait of aliveness. But what does it mean to write each half of a truth with equal care? What does it mean to never show one in a way that denies the other? In my class on Sunday, we read our pieces to each other. I've never done that before. Everyone's talent blew me away. It is strange and ever so slightly mortifying to be in a space where strangers see you so clearly so fast. My piece was a tangle of questions about history, about oceans, about spirits, about truth. Already I am the girl in the class with a head full of questions, no answers. Yeah, very unwell today. Have not been able to function. Was in a lot of pain last night, so I didn't sleep very well. Have a hot water bottle. Not in a terrible mood, kind of weirdly inspired. I've been reading The Hours by Michael Cunningham, and I write on using a Google Doc, so I write on my laptop, but I can access it on my phone. And just there I was like reading through my draft a little bit, not on purpose. I was just kind of bored, and I ended up doing some editing, and that was kind of nice. I'm kind of interested in the idea of understanding these sick periods of my life better. Thus far, I have made significantly more videos and films of me out and about, and I think partially is because I don't have the energy to like film or feel that desire to film when I'm sick, and also when I'm out, because I spend at least half my time, if not more, tired, and the rest of it, when I do have that energy and that busyness and that liveliness, I am so inspired by the world. Like, I'm so excited to be in the world that I want to film, and I want to express that excitement. If I was going to make a film about being unwell, I would have to perform in some way. I would want to have some sort of angle on it, I guess. Am I communicating what I do in a day? Am I communicating my coping mechanisms? Am I communicating self-care? To a certain extent, I was able to view speaking about life and an exterior life and my healthy days, for want of a better word, through a certain lens of like poetry and cinema and excitement and romanticism. Whereas I've only ever really been able to discuss my health problems through the language of like the wellness complex, and I've been trying to move away from that understanding. Increasingly, I've been moving away from like the semi-dogmatic like wellness industrial complex self-care, self-help toolbox for understanding and interpreting life, and trying to move towards more truthful, more curious things that I think suit my mind better. I've been thinking a lot about vulnerability. I think vulnerability is the mode of living which I believe in, ideologically and philosophically, in the sense of like, I think it can save the world. I really do. And it's something I've been learning about in a class that I'll probably go into. So I've been doing this like class on, it's titled Writing with Vulnerability in Mind. And I know this is really corny, but I think like a lot of the world's problems could be solved by like being more human with each other, because we are all so alike and we are also capable of connecting with each other on such a deep level. And I think a lot of people are very lonely because they're not connecting with people on a very deep level. And I just think like exploring the concept of how to live with more vulnerability, how to live with that awareness of your own humanity and the humanity of others is so fascinating. And then also like, how does one observe things? I'm interested in exploring without judgment the passing of time with a disability, by kind of exploring it as something like philosophical and aesthetic and interesting and curious, and hopefully beautiful as well. Like, I don't want them to be sad or to be like political even, or like, you know, hashtag representation, hashtag a real and gritty look at like whatever. Like, I just want to shoot it as irreverently and nostalgically and thoughtfully and romantically and sentimentally as I would any other period or thing. Because in a weird way, despite the fact that I'm in a considerable amount of pain, I'm actually having quite a nice morning. Like I feel quite happy and enchanted by life this morning. I have this belief and this desire that is rooted in witnessing things very fully and very curiously and wanting to write it down, and that brings an enormous amount of comfort. That is very satisfying for me right now. That completely just not justifies the whole situation, but makes it okay. This has been Greasy Haired Virgo. Peace out. Oh, there you are. Yeah, oh my god. Can you present? Hello, can you please present?
Okay, so
For the class. Hello.
welcome to my scanner pictures. So here we have
Is that you? No.
none of them are mine.
Okay.
They refused to print mine.
Okay.
Too ugly. So here we have a girl called Amanda, our good friend. This here we have a friend called Manon, and we have Cam, and we have, I believe, Manon again.
Okay.
And we have Charlotte's chest.
I always had this theory that if you want to move someone else as an artist, you yourself necessarily must have been deeply moved by what it is that you're writing, but you must keep exploiting that emotion in yourself over and over and over and over till you become completely cold about it. I mean, so that you no longer laugh, say, about whatever it is that made you laugh, or you don't weep over whatever it is that made you weep. You see it like it was some extraordinary specimen, but you know that it had that effect on you personally, so that you know that if you can reproduce it, you can make it have exactly the same effect on someone else.
Take over. So I don't know, I feel like the theme of this week or whatever is sort of in between spaces, looking at things, romanticizing things, perceiving things, and I don't know, we're in that part of the year where our days are nighttime, you know, like where most of the day is actually night. And something that I started doing in the sort of depths of winter, when we're just getting towards that like longest, darkest night of the year, is not turning on any lights, like electrical lights at night, because I get this like inertia, this like exhaustion from lack of daylight, and yet I don't perceive that I am living in darkness. I almost don't notice it because the lights are always turned on inside. So I'm responding to this rhythm in the world, and yet I'm not actually acknowledging it. And there's something about just agreeing to acknowledge the darkness when it comes at night that just makes the whole thing so much easier, because you're not sort of sitting there in your like lit up room wondering why you're not being productive, why you are being so sleepy, and it's only like it's only like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, and instead you're sort of bathed in darkness and you inhabit this sort of nighttime-y imagination and I don't know, this nighttime magic, and you get to enjoy the night instead of not understanding why you're failing to be, you know, a daylight summer version of yourself. There's a metaphor in there somewhere about like acceptance and working with nature in your body and the world and not against it. I don't know, make of it what you will. I'm tired, I'm not going to join the dance.
Hey, so I filmed this video in early December. I feel like as 2021 kind of came to a close, I don't know, I have so many questions, right? I think we all do, about everything all the time. I think we're like the tides in a way. Like we exist in this cycle of being pulled in and then being pulled out. And at least that's kind of how I see it and how it feels. And I go through these phases of wanting to be like introspective, educated, intellectual, internal, and thoughtful, and you know, in that space. And then I go through phases of wanting to just respond to the world, be exterior oriented. And in the pandemic years, what could we do but go into an inward space? And I kind of committed to the idea. I just thought, well, what are we going to do? I was just writing my journal recently. I'll read it out actually. I want this year to have Friday energy. The pandemic years have striven for Sunday, the urge to nurture, the hope of wholeness, the downward pull of the earth, Friday, an explosion. So I feel like for most of those 2-ish years of the pandemic, I have been in this sort of Sunday mindset, wanting to use that time to kind of just like be in my feelings, be vibing just by myself. And now I want to be very much a person on the earth, on the earthly plane, and what that is inside, interiorly, in a sick context or out in the world. I just want to be feeding off of the stimuli around me, responding to it, finding my answers in living as well as just thinking. I think that's something I want to explore in my videos this year, and I have a bunch of videos that I made last year, which is how I normally do this channel, which is that I do everything a year later, but I actually don't think I'm going to release them for a while. I want to just take a minute to think about what I'm making and why. And I hope you guys are having a really nice new year.